Hi, I'm Ed Weber. I have a dairy farm in Bovina on the upper end of town. Uh, we milk about 50 head of cows. We have 35 head of beef animals.
I'm Jack Burns. Live on Bramley Mountain Road. Been here since 1960. Grew up in Bovina. My ancestors settled here in Bovina in 1800.
I'm Thomas Burns, and this is my wife Joan.
That would be me.
My name is Donna Weber. I live in Bovina Center on Crescent Valley Road.
My name is Dominic Gullo. I'm 38 years old, and we've been here in Bovina now for just about 18 years.
Well, my name's Tom Hilson. I started farming the same year I got married. I took over the farm here in 1977.
We've lived here all my life. I was born here, and my wife and I, Donna, we bought the farm in 1976. And at that time there was, I believe, 38 farms in Bovina. And right now, presently, there's 4.
It used to be dairying was a way of life. You kind of was born into it, and the money end of it seemed to take care of itself as long as your animals were healthy, and you had decent milk markets and this type of thing. But as time has gone and has gone by, farming has become much more competitive. Of course, these smaller farms like mine was I say, I had a little over 40 cows. It became very, you had to be very good managers. And so just being born on a farm wasn't enough.
Oh, our family's always been farmers. We bought this place, my wife and I, when we got married. And then a few years later, my brother and I decided to form a partnership and build a new barn for 150 cows, which we did. Moved into that in 1968, and it's still there. Dominic Gullo now operates that farm. We grew up farming. I can remember as a kid, we used to go out and with a pitchfork and shake the hay out when it got rained on so that it would dry. And in the springtime, we used to go out and pull mustard weeds out of the hay fields. When we were 8, 9 years old, we used to go and round up the cows for milking.
When I was growing up, I grew up down in the village after my grandfather Parsons died, and the whole town was farmers or someone that did business with the farmers. They either worked for the farmers, or they owned one of the stores, or the feed store, or worked for the feed store. The town was very self-sufficient. Very few people ever went out of the village to work. They all stayed right in the village and worked. And when my sister and I were little, we would be at the playground, and Les Roy would go by with his team of horses with the manure spreader on the back to spread his manure every day, and that's like a lasting memory in my mind. My sister and I used to sit on the porch and visit with him, and it was a much tighter community than it is now.
Well, one of the big things I believe that really hurt, well, I was going to say put the final nail in the coffin, was 2 things down here in Bovina. When the creamery closed up, stopped taking canned milk, and smaller farms here that didn't want to go to the expense of putting in a bulk tank, they had to go out of business. The other one was when Hilton Brothers feed store closed.
Farmers back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s milked the cows by hands. Milk went into cans. They took their 4 or 5 cans down to the local creamery, and most of these smaller communities had them. Bovina had their own little creamery, and when the bulk tank and refrigeration came into being, it basically put all these local small creameries out, and you started moving all this to bigger and bigger processors. And
Yeah, it's a good life, but I mean, if you're not willing to put the time, effort, into it, and the financial rewards is when you get them, it's great, but they're very few and far between. It's a tough life I can make more money elsewhere a lot easier than working on a dairy farm and running it. But it's still a good life, and if somebody really's got the heart to get into it and do it, more power to them. It's a long road to hoe.
The biggest thing is to find somebody to go in there and milk them cows, because who likes to work? Actually,
24 hours a day.
well, you're actually working 24 hours a day because it's on your mind whether you're doing it or not. You sleep with it, you eat with it, you work with it. This is the way it is.
You learn as you go along. There's really nothing, you can go through all the college and textbooking that you want, but there's no substitute, I don't feel, for experience and actually getting out and doing it, and that's generally how I feel. You learn the vast majority of what needs to be done. It's a business where everything's constantly changing, so what you learn today might not work tomorrow.
The cows have to be milked twice a day, 7 days a week, and someone has to be there to do that. You can't just not milk them. If there's a desk job in town someplace, you work all day and there's still work left to be done. It can sit there until you come back the next day. Where on a farm, the work has to be done every day, and it has to be completely done every day.
You have to be kind of a jack of all trades. I happen to have some, I have the automotive experience behind me as far as machinery repair and stuff like that, so I do almost all of them.
If you don't have the right mindset as a couple to understand how much it takes to make a living in the barn, and if you're fighting it all the time, where if I had fought Thomas all the time to be down here at dinner, at such and such a time, to be with the kids, that we had to take a vacation, we had to do this, we had to do that, have that normal, almost suburban family life. The traditional,
It don't happen.
It doesn't happen on a farm.
It's not a job. It's a way of life. You have to be dedicated to it. You have to love it, or you'll be miserable your whole life.
Well, it is a lifestyle choice. I've always said, when you own your own business, to a point, the business is your life. There's days that can go on for 16, 17-hour days, and then there's days we might take it easy, like on Sundays, and just do the bare minimum and put in 4 or 5 hours. But the unfortunate thing with this occupation is it's 7 days a week, and you've got to pretty much enjoy what you're doing. And again, with most businesses, which are really into it, tied into it, it is a 7-day thing.
I think there's some people that bought a farm hoping to make it into like a little hobby farm and raise some beef and some chickens. And I know some people that tried it and became disillusioned when their chickens got eaten by the raccoons. And, it's not as easy. You can't really be a part-time farmer. You really have to be a full-time farmer to make it work.
Our children, growing up in a society where it was not a dairying society anymore. The kids that they went to school with, very few of them came from dairying families. Mm-hmm. So they didn't understand in some ways, why does so-and-so always have daddy and mommy at the ball game? Or why do they always go away? Why do they always go to the movies? I'm going, well, because they don't have to milk cows.
I do chores in the morning. The kids don't, they stay in bed, especially during the school year. They don't have to do anything in the morning. So I come out about 6 o'clock, and then I go back in at 7, get the kids up and off to school, and then I'm back out at 8. And in the wintertime, I can go to work around 11, work all day, and then I come home and help the kids at night with chores.
Your biggest wear on anybody's body and mind, because you have to be in that barn twice a day, 7 days a week, and you can't really hire anybody to do this.
The milk they produced, some years you made a profit, and some years you didn't. And you went through periods when milk was decently priced, But then other things, expenses started to creep up, and profits got less, and there were big cycles in that. And as late as the 1990s, I'll bet we didn't make a profit only two years out of the 1990s. It was really tough, and I think that's when farming really went on a decline.
Our product has to be out there every other day. It has to be on the truck and gone. We can't store it. We can't do anything with it except ship it. Some farmers are trying cheese, which is fine. That's probably works out good. I don't know. But our product is perishable. We cannot wait.
Well, basically, we make the milk. It goes into a bulk tank. A milk truck from the co-op or company that we ship our milk to comes every other day, picks the milk up. We are paid on a 100-weight basis. For simplicity, about 10 pounds in a gallon of milk. So we're getting paid for every 10 gallons. The price that we receive is basically dictated by the federal government and state governments and various other. Pricing of milk is an extremely complicated thing. I haven't quite figured it out 100%. I'm not sure there's too many people that have.
We have no control of what we get for our milk. And there's not many industries can say that. Government, USDA, looks at cheese prices, looks at production, looks at consumption, and there's federal market order areas, northeast and southeast and west and midwest and all that. They all have formulas for those areas, and they figure it out. We don't know until after the fact. We don't have anything to say on how much we get. That's one of the things. That's one of the problems of dairying. We don't know what we're going to get from month to month.
Biggest challenge business-wise in this industry is the fact that we receive wholesale price for our product when it leaves the farm, and yet all of the products that we buy in and services we buy in, we pay retail for. Because of that, it kind of makes it a little difficult and challenging in terms of a balancing act to lead towards profitability. The more people who have their hands into it, obviously those people are going to pull something out of it. You have us, the producers, and you have the handlers, and you have the processors, and you have somebody else that handles it to take it to the stores, and then you have the actual retailers. And each one of those parties has to make some sort of a profit onto it, and because of that, because it's constantly in somebody else's hands, that tends to add the price up to it.
We went organic in '97. Was when we went through the transition and started shipping organically. And that made a huge difference in our income, simply because we had a price, we demanded a price.
You had some control over what you were
What
getting
you-
for your product. That's one of the main reasons we went into it. And we we still believe.
And I always did believe that organics is definitely, for your own purposes and for the purposes of the world in general, is a more sensible way to do anything. Organic dairymen, they got out of their bib and tucker, they put on their three-piece suit, and they said, "Excuse me, you want my product. I have something you want. You are going to pay me for it, and these are the rules under which you will receive it."
So I didn't want to sell the cows, but you gotta wake up and realize what you can do.
I think the generation Ed and my age they didn't want to be farmers. It's too much work and there's not enough money, and they want to be able to come and go as they please and not have to be tied to the farm from 7 in the morning to 9 at night without a break.
There's no money in it. You work your butt off, and what do you got when you get done? hip replacements, knee replacements.
A lot of farmers got old. And you try to dairy farm it when you get old and you know your bones get a little tired. You have to do something. And a lot of them have retired. A lot of the younger generations, there's jobs out there that's a lot easier to do, so they go to them and the farms get sold and go to development or whatever.
The land was sold because that was the highest value, was sold off to folks looking for a second home.
And that's basically, unfortunately, what farming in this area has come to. How do you keep the wolves away from the door? And then once you're done dairying, what do you have left as an asset? Absolutely nothing other than your land. We've made a living in the sense that we were able to survive, but we don't have that American dream. Not that I want to go play golf or sit on the beach or anything. I don't know what I'd do if I wasn't working.
You know what you do about sitting on the beach?
My wife and I are getting to the age now where we got to look to the future, and we can't work like we used to. And putting these long days in really makes you think if it's really worth it to continue to if we can't make a dollar at it.
I don't think farming has got much of a future here. I think you're going to see these farms finally, one by one, when the men get old enough that they don't want to do it anymore, they want to retire, those farms won't be picked up. They'll be just vacant.
If you define farming only as dairy farming, it's gone from here, except for those individuals who are in it now and can maintain it, or somebody coming in who...
Yeah, but who wants to do it coming in?
They have what do you do, and how do you maintain the land that you have here? And to me, it takes farmers and people with land now to change. What is the attraction? What would attract people to allow to my farm? And to me, that means going diversified in the sense of agritourism. Maybe you are, and I know Thomas and I differ here, as more what he might consider hobby farms, where you have several different types of animals to satisfy those niche markets. You have lambs and you have goats to satisfy the ethnic markets throughout the nation, and very heavily on the East Coast.
It seems like to me there was a more cohesive sense of community than there is now.
Most young people that want to farm can't afford to buy anymore. The land is being gobbled up by folks from the city. And actually, the city itself is paying big bucks for farmland, and the farmer just can't afford to buy it.
There's an opportunity for farming in Delaware County and in Bovina, but it takes people to realize that it's not magic. You can't just put a seed in the ground or put a cow on the field and it's going to happen.
Nope.
It's a business, and you've got to have a market for it. You also have to have land prices or taxes that you can afford. And as land continually is sold to homeowners who have a great sum of money,
And they want to maintain the
and
looks
as
it is.
And your taxes keep going up. How am I going to afford to pay the taxes on this?
I would like there to be a future in Bovina for farms, but I don't know. I just don't see I see the new farmers, the new people that are coming in that would like to be farmers, but they're not going to be able to do it full time. They're just going to do it on weekends and have someone else do the work for them when they're not here. And it's getting very depressed. Farming's getting very depressed, and I just see so many people just wanting to get out of it now. A few people are coming in, but most people want to get out. I don't know. In 20 years, I don't know if there will be any dairy farms left in Bovina.
People that come here because of like I said, because it's like coming to the Garden of Eden. It just is not going to be here, because this is what made it what it is. All these small farms.
Well, there's a future for certain types of farming. The dairies that are left, there's lots of land available Folks from the city who've bought land like to see it used, and usually they don't charge very much rent, and so there is land available. The future of dairying, I'm not sure.
I can't think of a job personally that I would rather do. I like getting up every morning. I like going to the barn. I could be in the barn all day, every day. I love the animals. There's so much future in farming. There's like such technology, and they just know so much more than with like nutrition, and there's so much more that's out there to be offered to a person if they want to stay a farmer. The only thing that's missing is the price of milk. It's dictated to us by the government, and we just can never seem to get to the point where we make enough milk or enough money from our milk to pay for our bills and still have something left over. I suppose that's what farmers have said for centuries, but I see that as the downfall.
I miss farming, I'll be honest with you. The job I have now is pretty much bureaucratic. It's, I like the people I work with, don't get me wrong. I miss farming. I've missed it from the day I sold my cows.
You know, whether the three of us are all last generation, that remains to be seen, but I guess time will tell on that one.